originally, or should have been, and is day 29 of Inktober 2020. If you haven't been following so far, that is because I'm generally on in the daytime. If you are having your lunch, it's generally just after that when you've gone back to work. So I get why you don't get the opportunity to watch the daytime channels. Oh, say daytime Inktober challenge streams. If you want to leave a comment, you can do by heading over to the lower bar where you can leave some comments, because I am going to be drawing for a while, and we are going to be live. We're going to be listening to some more of the comic story that we were listening to last week. And as always, guys, we're live. So if you get a bit of a pause, or if you get the happy little jumpy faces, or the blue screen, that isn't your computer or the stream breaking down. That's just me pressing record as I go along. But if this is the first time you've joined me, my name's Blut084, BLUT084, and Games here live once again for day 21, 21, 80 ages ago now, 29 for Inktober. If you don't know the challenge and the thing for Inktober, then I'll give you a little bit of information on that. Give me a second while I open up the chat. Inktober is a challenge where you draw a single picture, or as many pictures or something on a page that you want to either learn how to do, either practicing and you need a solid block to do it, or if you just want to start up and use your talents to see what you can do. The original prompts, or original list, was taken so you could only use an ink pen. I also am going to be using Copic markers, no pencil. The rules have been changed and you can now use a pencil, but I still don't really bother me. I wanted my original test last year. If you didn't check that one out, go and check the playlist out. But my voice is really croaky because, again, it's late and I've got to get this one finished, because I want to not have another one to have to do tomorrow, because I've got to get some colouring as well. If you are missing any of the coloured versions, that is because I haven't streamed any of those yet. I may do one on the last day, but I am recording every single one and every single day to put into one giant video, and eventually I will show you and tell you my story that I illustrated through Inktober. If you're not up to keeping with it, I give you a little synopsis at the beginning of most streams, and then get on with what we're doing while we listen to Comic Historian. And I will be checking comments every 15 minutes or so with putting a timer on Alexa. Alexa, put a timer on for 15 minutes, please.
15 minutes, starting now.
Well, not 15. So leave them there, guys. I'll leave you with that one and get that Comic Historian back on. We're listening to Avatar, which read by somebody I did not think had a good voice to read, but he seems to be not as good as Benny. If you do know Comic Historian yourself, then you'll know what I'm talking about. But if you don't, go and check them out. They are also YouTubers, and they do really good comic readings. And I don't mean comic haha, I mean comic as in, well, you're here.
Asking why she would become friends with the Avatar's group. Listen up, Rue. Talk's a bender. She'll come around to our side eventually, Yaling explains. She turns and walks away, but not before hissing at her sister to not tell their mother. As they walk away, Aang is glad that things with Councilwoman Li Ling went so well. Nope, that lady's dirty. She's involved in the sabotage somehow, Toph huffs. Everyone turns, surprised at Toph's words and questioning how she knows. She explains that she recognized the daughter's footsteps from the attack on the factory, and knew that Yaling was lying when she asked if she had been up to the cliffs. Why would she lie? Unless she had been up to the cliffs last night, making
Just
sure
starting here, opening comments if you've got. Oh, you have got, because I could see the taco before I started. Again, I'm doing a late stream because I'm doing the day all in one, or double day, Because yesterday I missed a day. IO to Jimmy the Twisted Ape. Welcome to the stream, bud. You normally catch me when I'm gaming. How you doing? How you doing there, bud? Haven't got into the drawing yet. Kind of warming up in the second, making sure everything's good, and just starting a TikTok and trying to find the old video that I was started before starting the stream today. Because I have already been live once today. You will be able to catch that one in the that will stay up on the channel. But if not, checking the playlists.
Their stories liberated us, the barrier breakers. We defy the limits.
She explains that she'll pretend to train Yaling, and while she's failing at it, I'll find out what she and her mother are up to. Ooh, cozying up to a suspect.
I already got one sound. Trying to make a little TikTok drama on it. I don't know if you've seen it. I've got that open and set up, and now checking comments. Oh, they're cool. But yeah, bud, let me know what you think of the drawing. It's going to be at least an hour or 50 minutes, but I check comments every 15 minutes, so leave them coming in, buddy. I will see them pop up in the top corner here. If I don't see them and you are leaving them and it's going crazy, then I will be looking down here, because obviously I'm going to be using one single ink pen like I used to do with the pencil, because I've kind of gone training myself through YouTube. Doing this every single day has taught me another thing, the same as last year. If you did miss that one, again, you can check it out on the playlist. If you don't know, if you remember me wanting some of the Copic markers here, I have got myself a great big bag, and I have been using them to colour in, but you will again see that at the end of the month, because I am sort of drawing a comic. That's why I've split this page into different things. Give me a second, I'm just going to tap record.
Buried in the sand. She punches downward with the earth exploding in every direction.
Because we are live on the PlayStation. If you didn't know, what you can do, as we're on the Share Factory, but I've got a scene I want to draw, and I've got the comments open. I don't need a reference because I do not know what I'm going to draw in, but the word today for day 29 is shoe. Now, last time in the episode yesterday, or earlier on, where I could show you that quickly, because I haven't coloured that one, so you'll actually get one of those. I've given it a little bit of a sharpen up, and with a little bit of a darker pen. But that is a scene from earlier on, which was making up the scene, obviously, from previous ones. We've got the Dogan. We've also got Dust Skimmer is off here. Is creating a little bit of energy, because that's what he does. He's got fire on him. He uses his wings, but he has bone wings, so he's using his bones and his cloth that he uses on his bone wings to fly or hover and or sort of skim, because that's his name, through the sky. But because the word was what was I say, float, I think yesterday was the word was. So today he's he's floating down almost like a parachute, but kind of almost getting, because he's on fire, like almost a hot air balloon. That was kind of what I was going for in this part of the scene. But there he's got in the background, he's being watched, because if you do not know the previous pages, I'm going to let you catch up with them, because it is getting quite late and I want to get this done, because I've also got to colour this, edit the video and do other things. But yeah, if you didn't catch that, I'll give you more of an update on what that actually is, and other videos and so on and so on. We've got to continue where that left off. So I'm thinking shoes, because that is the prompt that I've got on this actual day, because yesterday was float, and that was the page making up that I did early on today. We've got to do this one now. So I've got shoes as the prompt, so I've got to draw some sort of shoe. Now I was thinking, as Dust Skimmer's floating down, Blute Angle will put a pair of, you remember what Sleeping with the Fishes? But this more of a what they would put on their feet. I can't remember. Breeze block shoes or something similar to that kind of concrete. How you doing with your concrete slippers? You know what I mean? It's put a pair of concrete slippers basically to bring him down, and they're going to call that his shoes. You know, put the boots on him, and I'm going to lead that into the tomorrow scene. And if you want to know the prompts that are going to be coming up, you can check out the Inktober2020 website, and also they're over on Instagram. Also more the pictures if you want to see these all in close up and things like that. A TikTok, should we? Where's my phone? It's over here. Let's do this now. Got that going.
Virgin Media charge upfront for your dream phone? A big fat zero.
Shut up.
Follows Toph, wearing their disguises. Aang scratches at his head, not too fond of his wig. They watch as she enters the door and then quickly approach the guard. "What's the password?" the thug asks. "Imbalance," they respond. The man smiles as he opens the door. "Welcome to the cause, my friends." The team moves through the tunnels, part of the mines that should have been sealed. Beneath the town, they find a large gathering of people, and Aang and Sokka see some of the benders from the council in the room, as well as the kids that Aang met at the beach. "There's Toph, up front with Ya Ling. Should we get close to her?" Suki asks. But Sokka shakes his head, telling her that they should hang back. Councilwoman Li Ling steps to the front of the crowd, beginning her speech. She tells the gathering of Lao's proposed bender ban, about how he wants to push the benders out of the town with his machines. Anger sweeps through the gathering of people as they begin to call for action. Li Ling continues, calling for benders to take their natural place above non-benders, to rule governments, businesses, and protect communities. That is their rightful place in the world. And she calls for the benders to put aside their differences and join her in this fight. "This woman is out of her mind. We need to stop this," Katara whispers to Aang. "We can't start a fight here. We're outnumbered," he whispers back. Li Ling begins to explain her plan to drive the non-benders out of the city by destroying their machines and putting them out of business. "We will set right the imbalance in the world. Cranefish Town will become a city that belongs to the benders alone," she yells as she finishes her speech. The crowd begins to cheer, and Aang tells his friends that they need to go. But before they can leave, they see Toph walking up to the stage. Ya Ling introduces the young woman, telling her mother that Toph wishes to join their cause. "Is this true?" Li Ling asks. "Actually, no. You're crazy, lady, and you're going down. By the power invested in me, by me, you're under arrest," Toph shouts, shocking everyone. Ya Ling calls Toph a traitor, bending a chunk of earth and throwing it at her. But Toph just scoffs, easily knocking the earth aside and punching more chunks at her. "You've turned your back on your kind. You chose non-benders over us," Ya Ling shouts, leaping away. "Those non-benders are my friends and family. I'll always choose them over you," Toph yells back. Aang and the team reveal themselves, moving through the crowd to help their friend. Li Ling is shocked to see the boy, glaring at him. "You should have stayed away from my city, Avatar. I never wanted to be your enemy," she snaps. She shouts to the crowd, pointing out how the Avatar stands against the benders. The crowd turns on them, surrounding the team and calling out angrily. "I don't want to fight you," Aang says to the gathering. "Too late for that, Avatar. You chose your side," Li Ling tells him. She creates a wall of earth amongst the crowd, separating Team Avatar from each other before launching shards of dirt at Aang. "Drive the Avatar out of our city. Now is the time to fight for what's yours," she tells the crowd. The crowd of benders begin to attack, but find themselves outmatched by Team Avatar as every team member begins to take out multiple people. On the stage, Ya Ling and Toph continue to fight. "You're a lousy teacher. You didn't teach me anything about metal bending," Ya Ling shouts as she punches at Toph with earth gloves. "That's the worst insult you can come up with? I got news for you," Toph shouts, blocking and dodging the teenager's attack. "I've taught an entire school full of lily-livered knuckleheads to metal bend. You can't learn metal bending because you're a terrible bender, Toph shouts, knocking the girl aside with a pillar of earth to the stomach. I'm an amazing bender, better than you, Yawling shouts back. Prove it, Toph smiles, creating her own stone gauntlets. They launch at each other, their gauntlets smashing at the same time and knocking them both away. Rue runs for her sister, trying to help her to her feet so they can escape. But they look up to see Sokka and Suki standing over them. Sorry guys, you're not going anywhere, Sokka smiles at them. Yawling launches into attack that Sokka dodges. Suki leaps in, hitting Yawling in several spots and chi-blocking her. Yawling is shocked as her arms hang useless by her sides. Li Ling stares down at the floor below her, anger in her eyes. She creates another burst of earth, scattering everyone. Rue is shocked as her mother tells her to grab her sister and run. I won't let what we've worked for end here, Li Ling tells her daughter. She creates a tunnel, ordering her daughters to escape while she holds off Team Avatar. The crowd of benders begin to escape while Li Ling begins to shake the ceiling above them. Aang knocks the woman aside with a gust of air, yelling for Toph to steady the ceiling above them. Suki rushes in, chi-blocking Li Ling with a few quick blows. You're under arrest for crimes against the people of Cranefish Town, Aang tells her as the team stands over her. No, it's only just begun, Li Ling tells them with a smile. In the darkness of the city streets, Rue and Yawling make their way home. But Yawling is still stunned, and she falls to the ground with her arms hanging uselessly at her side. Rue tries to comfort her sister, telling her that it is only temporary, and her bending will come back. What if it doesn't? Then I'll be just like you, Yawling whispers. Rue hears these words, and anger flashes in her eyes. She stands, ordering her sister to follow her so they can figure out how to get their mother back. At the factory, the team has Li Ling locked in a cage that Toph explains is escape-proof. Toph believes that if they capture her daughters, then their plans will end. Sokka walks down, explaining that the anger and support for her movement has swept through the benders of the city. She's bringing to surface resentments between benders and non-benders that have been brewing for ages, Sokka tells them. Aang nods, looking over at the woman in the cage. We still need to decide what to do with her, he tells them. And Toph steps up to her friend. Oh, I know what we should do with her, Twinkletoes, she tells him. Aang is shocked by her words. Make an example of her so her supporters back off. Do to Li Ling what you did to the Fire Lord. Take her bending away. And that, my friends, is the cliffhanger that I'm going to leave you on today. If you enjoyed this chapter of the story in balance, please let me know in the comments down below. And be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell icon to get notifications when new videos go live. And if you want to support the channel even more, you can go over to patreon.com.
Okay, so that's 15 minutes. Alexa, stop. Yeah, so here we go. We're going a bit more silhouette in what I'm trying to draw here. We've got blue angle. Give me a second.
Right here at Comic Store.
We've got blue angle. He's they're standing over at the edge of one of the floating islands that rock, sort of floating. If you don't know the story, the worlds have collided, and we've got equals and opposites. Kind of think one multiverse, and one's got lush and lovely world, lush and sort of trees and whatever, but the other world is where Dust Skimmer is come from the other side of the mirror portal. If again you want to go check that out, again check all the other videos because there's lots of different things to the story which are come from creating other characters as well. I've got sort of started to create characters and then sort of thought I could probably make a story. Sort of thought was test of Inktober, but yeah, Dust Skimmer's floating down in the previous picture. blue angle was looking over in the other floating island, and that's what I'm sort of showing here. Doing distance, and I'm going to be moving into more of a putting the shoes on, because I was trying to think how I can make that chain into some sort of shoes, like I was saying for the sleeping with the fishes. So yeah, we'll see what we can do in the next 15 minutes. I'm going to be thinking maybe putting more detail in the other areas, but what else could I put sort of here? Because don't need to think mid-ground and things like that, but well, we kind of do, but in one certain area. Kind of keeping it detailed, but only detailed areas instead of the whole thing is great detail. It makes it easier to cut things up and think about how the things look more than what I don't know. I'm just drawing.
One place for dramatic readings of your favorite comic books. I'm Dan, your narrator, and today we're going to be starting the next chapter in the Avatar: The Last Airbender comic book series, known as Imbalance. As Appa floats over the snowy mountains, Sokka leans over the side. Are we there yet? He sighs. Katara sits up, pointing out that Sokka knows how far it is from the Southern Water Tribe to the Earth Kingdom. But Sokka doesn't care, though.
I'm listening to Comic Historian in the background. If you're still here, and that is the question. Yeah, I've got Comic Historian. It's pretty good. This is a new one to them for Aang the Avatar.
If Aang would mind stopping at the Earthern Fire Refinery on the way to Yudao. We're taking a detour, but Suki's waiting in Yudao, Sokka complains. Toph leans back, telling him that it won't take long, and that she has a lot of responsibilities now that she's an executive partner. You have 10 minutes, but after that, we're leaving for Yudao, with or without you, Sokka tells her in a huff. Toph agrees, but warns them that Cranefish Town has changed a lot since they were there last. And even with her warning, Aang is shocked as they look down on what used to be a small town and see a vast city stretching away from the coast. I can't believe this, Aang whispers as they get closer. Katara leans in, knowing that the area was important to the Airbenders, and asks if he's okay. I'm not sure. None of this was here before, he tells her. They manage to find a spot for Appa to land near one of the markets, with Sokka being surprised that there's no warm welcome committee this time. Instead, the people of Cranefish Town seem to just stare at them. Aang, do the thing, Sokka whispers. Aang pulls out some marbles, making them float and spin around with his airbending. But the townspeople are unimpressed. What is this? Does he think we haven't seen bending before? Someone whispers. Wow, tough crowd, Aang gulps, feeling embarrassed. But luckily, they are saved by Toph's father, Lao, as he moves through the crowd, flanked by two guards. Toph greets her father, but he pushes past her, thanking her for bringing the Avatar in Cranefish's time of need. What? I thought you wanted to see me for executive partner reasons, she asks. Lao points out that it is always good to see his daughter, but the town has need of the Avatar. Lao stands before Team Avatar, pointing out that the town is facing challenges as they expand so quickly. What kind of challenges? Aang questions. Because the town has no official government, the local businesses have formed a committee to oversee the growth of the town. We're having a council meeting this afternoon. If you came with me, you could hear for yourself the issues we're facing, Lao explains. Aang agrees, bringing complaints from Sokka about having to wait to see Suki. But he gets distracted as he sees a distinct Water Tribe helmet. As Sokka and Aang begin to discuss how Sokka absolutely needs this helmet, two gangs of benders begin to argue in the city streets.
What are you dirt eaters doing here? This is Firebender territory,
one gang leader shouts.
Know your place, Ashmaker. This is Earthbender land,
the other responds. The shop owner knows trouble when he sees it. Pulling the helmet from Sokka's head, she apologizes and closes the window. Sokka and Aang turn, seeing the trouble that is brewing around them. As the two benders begin to fight, Aang leaps in between them. Everybody calm down, he shouts, swirling the groups apart with his arrow.
Carried away with my dots.
But they begin to argue again, both trying to get the Avatar on their side. But suddenly, Aang is lifted into the air on a patch of earth. You all need a timeout, Toph shouts to the group.
The Avatar's fighting on the Dirt Eater's side. Get him!
The firebenders shout, launching flames. Aang leaps down, trying to explain that he isn't on anyone's side as he pushes the firebenders back. Toph knocks another earthbender aside as he tries to thank Aang for joining them. Aang, there's only one language these guys understand. The language of cracking skulls, she tells him. One of the earthbenders is thrown over the head of Lao and Sokka. And
That'll
he
do.
struggles up, reaching out and beginning to bend the building around him. Toph launches herself
Alexa.
over to save her father.
Set me a timer for 15 minutes.
15 minutes. Starting now.
Oh no! She gasps as the building begins to crumble around them. She reaches out, trying to hold up the building with her bending. Little help here, Twinkle Toes! She gasps. Aang rushes forward, grabbing Toph and flying her away as the building completely falls apart. I meant help me hold up the building. But thanks anyway, she tells him. But Aang nods, looking back at the building and noting that it was barely holding together. Whoever built that thing did a terrible job, he tells her. They land, with Aang and Katara running into each other's arms to make sure that they're both okay. I'm fine too if anyone cares, Sokka points out. I care, Toph tells him. What? Nothing, she snaps, punching him in the arm. With the benders that started the fight having escaped, Lao explains that the city has been plagued with bender violence. Aang and his friends turn to help rebuild the building that collapsed. But the people grow angry. We don't want your help, they tell the team. Seriously? I can make that pile of rocks look brand new. I'm that good, Toph explains. Benders destroyed our homes. We don't want the help of Benders to repair it, the people tell them angrily. Aang starts to argue, but the people tell him that unless he is going to force his help on them, he should leave them alone. Toph is angry at the people's attitude, but she tells her friends that she is heading to the Earth Fire Refinery to see Satoru. Katara agrees to go with her, while Sokka and Aang go to the council meeting. Okay, I'll see you tonight, Aang tells them as they all go their separate ways. Lao leads Aang and Sokka to an ostrich horse-drawn carriage, explaining that the city has grown too large to travel on foot. During the ride, he tells them that the city has drawn many people who are looking for work, but the factory can't employ them all, even the most skilled benders. And because of this, the benders who can't find honest work have turned to less than honest means of earning a living. Finally, they arrive at the council meeting. Some of the members point out how late Lao is, while the others defend him. As they move through the room, Sokka looks around, noting that the benders are sitting on one side of the room, while the non-benders are on the other. Sokka leans in, telling Aang what he noticed in a whisper. Wow, I think you're right. Why would they be divided like that? Aang wonders. Lao stands up in front of the meeting, reminding the group about the violence that plagued their city. Because of this, he proposes banning bending within the streets of Cranefish City. This will help prevent the bender violence that is causing so many problems, he tells them. Aang is shocked, and the benders of the council grow angry, believing that Lao is merely pushing his anti-bending agenda. The non-benders join in, pointing out that the people are afraid to walk the city streets. Now I know why the Bender Council members don't sit with the non-benders, Sokka whispers to his friend. They both watch as the arguments grow louder and angrier. Meanwhile, Katara and Toph arrive at the refinery. This is the Earthen Fire Refinery? Katara questions as she sees the giant factory. It's nearly tripled in size since we were here last, Toph nods. Satoru greets them at the entrance, leading them inside to show off everything he's been working on. Who are those people? We saw a few of them with Toph's father today, Katara asks as she notices the guards standing around, and Satoru nods, explaining that they've had a few break-ins at the factory. So we've had to hire a few more guards, he explains. He leads them inside, and Katara is shocked by the sheer size of the refinery machines that are in the factory now. We've done a lot of upgrading to the factory line. We can now refine ore at twice the rate we used to, he tells them proudly, motioning to the machines. Katara looks around, pointing out that she doesn't see any benders working on the machines this time. Hey, Satoru, what's up with that? Where'd all the benders go? Top asks. The engineer grows a little sheepish. Well, that's complicated, he tells them. He explains that as they upgraded the machines, they became so effective that they didn't need the benders anymore. So they let them go, since skilled benders command a higher wage. Unfortunately, that made others in the bender community angry. They felt like they were being replaced by machines. Satoru explains that he wasn't trying to put benders out of work, just improve his machines. But now, other factories have also put in similar machines, and even more benders have lost their jobs. Tensions in the city have grown.
Yo, Six Drops. Thank you very much. How you doing?
Non-benders. This is crazy. The machines are great. I'm a bender and I love
Just getting some illustrating done for Inktober. If you're not following already, I've done every single episode. And today I'm making up on 2 days, because yesterday I missed today, because today is 29 and the word is shoes. I'm sort of going loose with it, with like the concrete shoes. So I'm sort of drawing some sort of trap here. Maybe if you're not following along with the comic that I'm drawing as well on this this sort of story that I'm drawing, definitely go and check out the other videos. There will be an update, but it's quite late and I've already been streaming once today. If you want to ask any questions, feel free. I've got the comments open down the bottom, but I've got to get on and turn this into a trap. This is obviously swinging something here. There's the chain that I was talking about, and dust skimmer and blute angle. Looking down, if you looked at previous picture, if you didn't see that one, I can give you a quick flash. Because I'm giving you a reminder of what I actually have to keep and get in there. The word was float from earlier on today, which should have been on day 28, which was obviously the 28th of October. We now continuing on that page on day 29, which is today. And yeah, floating islands, but now today the word is shoe. So I'm thinking boots, traps, heavy shoes floating down. Is going to capture him with some sort of heavy thing here. Sort of almost the chain goes around his neck, his legs. I don't know. Being kind of loose, but ending it here where his feet are covered in some sort of maybe, because that's an egg, by the way. Some sort of goo that makes him not be able to move, like a statue, but not a statue, sort of a... I'm trying to progress into the next page, and I don't want to give away too much of the next page, because obviously tomorrow is going to be the next page.
She told me to believe in humans, in our ability to learn from our mistakes, and create a future that preserves and protects.
Oh, thank you very much. And you over from TikTok? Well, I am making one as we speak. I just want to get this page finished, and I'll carry on with the recording. But yeah, thank you very much if you like those videos. So you already know the story. If you don't, you already know where to find the synopsises.
Sokka and I are all here with you, Katara reminds him. Katara looks out over the city, reminding Aang that everywhere they go, the world is developing. I don't think anyone meant for Cranefish Town to end up like this. No one.
It is a late one, so I am going to be blah. I can't say it, so can do it. Because I don't get in trouble. Because it's gone past a watershed. Oh, YouTube's got watershed balls.
They hold hands as Aang tells her that he hopes she's right. Maybe there's still time to help this city grow in a way that protects and preserves. Elsewhere in the city, a gang of firebenders are huddled in a building. Their boss is yelling at them for stealing from the poor, because they don't have anything worth taking. Suddenly, the door explodes inwards, and two women walk in. One smiles, telling the gang that she has a fantastic career opportunity for them. The gang circles them, telling the two to get lost. The other woman smiles, cracking her knuckles. She launches into a fight, twisting and knocking the gang members aside with earth pillars. She twists, avoiding a blow and knocking out two others with a chunk of rock. So, you're definitely gonna listen to us now, right? The first woman asks with a smile. Her Early the next morning, the team avatar is walking down the streets, and Sokka questions why Aang wants to go to the beach so early in the morning. They arrive at the beach with Aang motioning to the garbage and debris that has collected along the shores of the city. He turns, proudly proclaiming that they now have the whole day to clean it up. Everyone stand back. I'll have this place garbage free in no time, Toph tells them, stepping up. She begins metal bending, pulling all the metal around her. In a matter of seconds, Toph stands proudly next to a statue made out of the debris that looks exactly like her. Turning trash into treasure, she says with a smile. The group moves down the beach, cleaning up the debris as they go. The two young firebenders interrupt Aang, introducing themselves as Leon and Shen. They gush about how they are big fans of his. But eventually, Aang returns to the clearing, helping his friends as Toph continues to leave statues of herself along the beach. That night, Toph opens her eyes as a strange clunking noise reaches her ears. She heads out the door, following the noise to the refinery. She then stops at the machine, seeing that it's been jammed. She bends a barrier in front of her as the machine suddenly explodes, and the rest of the team rush to the fiery destruction, awoken by the explosion. They meet Satoru out front, questioning what happened. Wait, where's Toph? Aang asks. Satoru tells them that she wasn't in her room, and everyone becomes scared. Stop panicking! I'm fine! A voice calls to them from beneath the wreckage. Toph stands, the metal barrier falling away. It'll take a lot more than an exploding factory to take me out, she says with a confident grin. I'm glad you're okay, Aang begins, but Toph holds up her hand to quiet him. Don't distract me, Twinkle Toes. I need to listen, she tells him. In the distance, a foot hits the ground, sending a tremor through the earth, and Toph points. There! 2 people running down the alleyway. Probably the same people who sabotaged the machine, she tells them. Toph and Aang begin to give chase, while the others begin to put out the fire. They begin to move through the streets and alleyways. Toph laughs as the people think they could lose them in the maze-like city, but they didn't figure on me being able to track them. But suddenly, one of them leaps down from one of the rooftops. Whoops, didn't see that guy coming. People running across rooftops are a little trickier to track than people running on the ground. She notes as she brings up a pillar of earth to block the firebender. She points Aang in the direction of the other runner. The other guy turned down an alley to the right. You go, I'll take care of this one, she yells. Aang leaps into the air with his glider, and he floats over the city, quickly finding the other runner. The firebender stops short as he comes to the edge of a cliff. Whoops, this wasn't the right way. I should have turned left back there, the man whispers. Aang suddenly lands behind the gang member, making him jump, and the man turns. I'll fight you, he shouts. I'd prefer it if you didn't, Aang explains. But the man launches a fireball at Aang, who quickly catches it and harmlessly spins it into the air. With a twist, he captures the man in an earth pillar. Why did you attack Earthern Fire Industries? Aang demands. But the man refuses to speak when suddenly the cliff crumbles and the man begins to fall into the sea. Help! Save me, Avatar! The man screams as he plummets through the air, and Aang leaps into the air, trying to catch the man. Oops, those cliffs crumble so easily. The Earthbender woman grins as her and her sister stand by watching. Her sister doesn't seem happy, believing that killing the man wasn't necessary. You heard Mom. She said no loose ends. I'm just making sure he absolutely stays quiet, the Earthbender tells her. Both women turn, watching as Aang manages to catch the man before he falls into the water. Uh-oh, the sisters whisper. Later, they stand in their mother's house. So, the Avatar captured the man you hired? She says. The two sisters begin to argue, but Li Ling orders them to stop. She turns, telling them that she doesn't want them to argue, because there are more important things at stake. She tells them that they must be united, and an evil smile crosses her face. Plans are in motion, and not even the Avatar will be able to stop them. And that is the cliffhanger I am going to leave you guys on today. I hope you guys enjoyed this story, and if you did, please be sure to give the video a like, Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon to get the notifications, and leave a comment down below. If you want to find more of me, I am Dante Producer on Twitter and Instagram, and Silu91 on Twitch. That's CYLOO91. And I will see you guys next time for Imbalance Part 2. Also be sure to support the channel on Patreon at patreon.com/comicstorian or with your YouTube membership.
Welcome to the full story series right here at Comic Story, your home for audio dramas of your favorite comic books, video games, and movies. Typically, we bring out multiple videos in a week, all within different story arcs happening with your favorite superheroes, be it Batman, Superman, or Deadpool. And what ends up happening is, as the years and months go on...
And there we go. Another 15 minutes. I was kind of going, what do I do now? I've got the feet. Kind of looks like a person. Well, my character. That's balloon angle. Got to put his wings in, as always. That's another at least 5 minutes of detail. So, Alexa, pause. Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop! Thank you.
It's crazy, it's all over the place, and I had a lot of fun covering it.
But yeah, let's hit that record.
With the fall of Parker Industries, Peter Parker was forced to give up his life of luxury and was reduced to sleeping on friends' couches. One of which is Mockingbird, Bobby, the ex-Shield agent, who's already sick of Peter sleeping in past 5:30 a.m. As she yells for Peter to get up, he looks at the clock and asks why she got up so early and is already dressed to go out. And she tells him that she got a tip from some AIM jerks trying to make a move on some black market weapons. Without Shield around, someone's got to clean these things up. Peter starts to get up telling her that he could join her, and Bobby tells him no, Spider-Man already has a job. Peter Parker doesn't. She knows things are difficult, but he needs to get back on the horse and get out there. Also, don't touch any of her food and don't spend all day watching TV. Once Bobby leaves, Peter sits back down and he turns on the television. After flipping through several news outlets talking about how much of a horrible person Peter Parker is, Peter finds a commercial with Deadpool. Wade tells the viewers that if they're tired of being held back in life by the lack of weapons of mass destruction, then look no further. Come on down and see the finest selection of artillery, implements of mayhem for your bathroom, bedroom, and more. Peter grumbles as he grabs his phone and tries to call Deadpool, and just as he expected, Wade does not answer. As Wade's voicemail beeps, Peter shouts at him, "You've gone too far this time. It's bad enough that you're already the most wanted person in the world, but now this? There won't be any stone left unturned until I've brought you in for what you did. I will find you." Oh, and by the way, it's Spider-Man. Peter throws his phone and he tells him that he can find him. All he needs is a computer and then he can go arrest Wade. And after a whole 2 minutes, Peter grabs the phone and asks Bobby if she could do him a favor. Bobby tells him that she's kind of busy at the moment with the bad guys, but what is it? And he better not be eating her food. He pauses as he pulls a sandwich out of his mouth, and Bobby says that he is literally the worst. Who is it that you're trying to find? Peter tells her that it's Deadpool, and Bobby asks, Deadpool? The Deadpool? Most wanted man in the world, Deadpool? Peter tells her,
I don't know why I did that, but I did.
seconds later, she pings his phone telling him that he should be there or around there. Peter tells her that she already found him, and she says, yeah, she can multitask. After suiting up, Peter heads out to the coordinates that Bobby gave him, and he webs through the city. He thinks to himself that he knows that Wade was the one who shot Agent Coulson under the orders of the evil Steve Rogers. But somehow he feels that this is partially his fault. Maybe there's a way to help Wade? Maybe he hasn't gone too far? As Peter lands, he sighs, stating, come on. It looks like this is an old Shield helicarrier named the USS Pool. He jumps on board and sneaks into that helicarrier, finding Kate Waynesboro and her assistant Hellcow, which totally shouldn't be here. Peter says, all right, mad scientist lab complete with talking cow. It's pretty much just Deadpool written all over it. And then he's face to face with a Hulk plushie, and Screwball flies by asking, what are you doing here? Peter tells her that this is perfect. Every circus needs a clown, and Screwball says the last time that they tangled, he was the not-so-friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Since then, she's gotten a new job and some new upgrades. Her boss is now a totally awesome guy with a killer dental plan. Peter tells her, wait. But as Screwball pushes the button, a trapdoor opens, causing Spider-Man to fall, but not before webbing up Screwball and taking her with him. The two fall into a room full of Hulk plushies, and Peter says, yeah, this is definitely the house that Deadpool built. As Screwball begins to get up, she charges into Peter, shouting, how did you get past my defenses? Only friendlies are welcome aboard. And a voice calls out, that's right. And Wade springs out of the plushie, stating, that's because Spider-Man is my super most bestest friend. But before Wade can even finish his thought, Peter yells, you're under arrest! And he tackles Wade to the ground. Wade tells him, fight, fight! But first, let me give you the MTV Cribs tour. You need to see my collection of stuffed animals. Peter throws Wade across the room and into the lab of Clay Quartermain, a life model decoy with a living tree living on him. As Clay begins to tell Wade that the Rogue Shield Beetle tanks are about to be picked up, Wade whispers to keep the criminal fuck down. Peter grabs Wade and he says, look, I know what you're really here for. You need a job, right? After getting fired from that loser Peter Parker, Spider-Man needs some money. Peter yells, you stole a helicarrier! And Wade says, in my defense, I found it in a ditch. Peter then goes on telling him, not only that, but you're selling Rogue Shield gear on late-night TV ads. This whole thing is over. No more jokes, no more stupid rooms, no more. But Wade tells him, wait. I'm not selling Shield goods on late-night TV ads. All of these weapons are for my personal collection. He then goes to the computer and sends an email to Screwball stating that she needs to look into late-night ads starring him. Also, they need to work on the intercom system. He walks up and punches the keyboard, and in doing so causes the two of them to fall back into the ocean, where Wade telepathically introduces Bruce and Deborah, the mutated sharks. Peter then asks him, how are you talking to me telepathically? And the Amphibian swims up telling Wade that he's told him countless times, no swimming during training hours. Amphibian then goes on telling him, you freed these sharks in the Black Site Shield Aquatics Weapons Facility. They are designed to read thoughts and project them into others' minds. Wade begins to swim away after having his leg bitten off, and he says, come on, there are so much cooler toys on the helicarrier. As everyone swims, Bruce says, soon we will consume them. And Deborah says, yes, but first we should go download those new episodes of Stranger Things. Once Wade gets Peter into his bedroom, Wade tells him, this is where all the magic happens, buddy. Peter shakes out the water from his mask, shouting, that is enough. You killed Coulson. You have to go to jail. But since we've worked together, I'll make sure you get help. Wade punches Spider-Man, telling him, I'm always going to be the bad guy. I tried. I really did. But you know what? I'll never be one of the good guys. And what you saw on TV, that was an imposter. Thanks to Screwball's super fast research, I can tell you what's going on with all of this late-night crap. Spider-Man ends up falling into a hatch, and Wade then goes on telling him, and for the record, I would never wear a lariat. Wade then jumps down, grabbing onto Peter while pulling a chain and opening the hatch, and yells, and we're gonna stop this imposter. After falling a few hundred feet, Wade tells him it's probably time to wet one of those parachutes you got. So we don't hit the ground. Spider-Man being able to create a parachute, and once he stabilizes them, he immediately lets go of Wade, letting him fall face first into the ground. As Spider-Man begins to land on what seems like a giant pumpkin, he asks, where are they? And Wade tells him, come on, don't you recognize Tabula Rasa? One of the pumpkin plants tries to eat Spider-Man, and he says, right, Tabula Rasa. What's Tabula Rasa again, Deadpool? Wade then pulls out a cue card, and he begins to read. Located in Montana, Tabula Rasa is a once sealed-off patch of land that was wiped clean and reborn with the power of the life seed. Blah, blah, blah. It's also a solid episode of Lost. But come on, we're here so that we can have a team-up. I know you want to. Come on. Say it, Spider-Man. Team-up! After fighting his way out of the plane and falling on the ground, Spider-Man gets up and says, okay, then you go to jail, Wade. Wade tells Spider-Man to keep his eyes on the prize. We're here to stop some bad guys who are probably worse than me. That's when a giant bird-like creature walks by, and Wade quickly yells, we come in peace! The creature stomps on the ground trying to crush the two of them, and Wade calls back up to the helicarrier asking if anyone can even read him. Which, no, they do not, but what they do see is that Deadpool and Spider-Man need help, and everyone on his helicarrier chooses to do nothing. As Spider-Man and Wade run, Peter comes up with an idea, jumping onto the side of the creature, webbing up Wade. He then pulls on the web, choking Wade, creating a tripwire that trips the giant bird creature. Wade begins to pull the webbing off, telling him, see, we have such good chemistry. The creature snorts and uses its trunk and starts to suck Wade back up, and then it tries to grab Spider-Man. As Spider-Man dodges, Wade yells, come on, don't let me die at some monster's sack. As the creature ends up grabbing Spider-Man and slamming him to the ground with his trunk, Spider-Man gets back up holding the trunk, flipping the creature over, slamming it down onto its back, and he pokes the sack, asking Wade, hey, are you still alive in there? Wade says it smells kind of like a Sarlacc and shame in here, which, BT Dubs, is totally fine with me. And a voice calls out to Spider-Man saying, good work for stopping Deadpool, Spider-Man. Spider-Man looks back and sees Husk riding one of the bird creatures, asking what she's doing here. She tells him that she was moonlighting for S.H.I.E.L.D. here in their non-human resources department before it all went to hell. But after all the good work that they did, she couldn't just leave these fine-feathered creatures in the lurch. The one who's got Deadpool in his neck sack, that one's Jerry. This place got worse after Deadpool showed up. So we should probably let Jerry's acid slowly kill him. Peter says, yeah, whatever Deadpool you saw, that wasn't Deadpool. The one dying in the sack, that's the real one. And Husk asks, so the one that we ran into was an imposter? Fine. Let him go, Jerry. Jerry snorts, shooting Wade out, and Wade shouts, best day spot ever! Spider-Man then goes on stating that Fake Pool has been selling stolen S.H.I.E.L.D. weapons, and guesses that he probably is headed towards the central lab in this location. Husk tells him that they can work together to stop Fake Pool, so follow her. Wade yells, can we please get a ride on those creatures? And a few moments later, Wade screams, hi-ho creature thing, away! As the Deadpool anyway. And Spider-Man tells her that he's not. He was kidnapped after going hunting for him. And after this, Wade shouts, "I'm going to jail!" Everyone heard it the first 5 times you said it, Spider-Man. Can we go and punch stuff now? Just then, there's an explosion at the bird creature's feet, throwing everyone to the ground, and another voice shouts, "Good morning, campers." The fake Deadpool steps up and asks, "Can you believe that she'll left behind some highly impressionable creatures? They seem so happy to be let out." Wade gets up stating that he can walk the walk, not so much talk the talk. Let's see if you can fight the fight. Husk sheds her skin, turning it into a hard, rock-like substance, and then jumps up, punching one of Fake Pool's monsters to the ground. Wade gets up, walking up to Fake Pool, pulling his mask to reveal himself. Fake Pool tells him, "The truth hurts, doesn't it?" Wade reaches up, ripping off that mask, revealing Dum Dum Dugan. And Dugan says, "That's right, Dum Dum." Dugan punches Wade to the ground, telling him, "I only need a few pieces of you for the next part, so do me a favor and hold still." Wade jumps up and says, "I got something for this," and he reaches down into the front of his pants. He pulls his hand back out and has a small Nightcrawler imp there, and then he bamps them away. Spider-Man shouts, "Really?" And Husk says, "Perhaps Deadpool is beyond help." And Spider-Man says, "I'm starting to see that." Back over the helicarrier, Wade bamps to Screwball and asks if they found the secret stash down there yet. Screwball says that the comms aren't working down there, but scans are showing that there's a vault at the edge of the forest. Wade then asks if anybody has seen his cowboy hat. He's gonna need it for a thing. Back on the ground, Peter and Husk lead Dugan and the monsters to some water, and Dugan then asks, "Are you all ready to die yet?" Husk then says that she's had enough of this, and jumps up, knocking Dugan off of his monster, and begins punching him into the ground. Just then another mask flies off, and Fake Pool stands up. "It's Captain America!" And he says, "Yeah, I'm still bad." Suddenly, everyone hears singing, and Wade bamps one of the sharks from before on top of the monsters, letting it bite down onto its heading. Wade lands, and he looks back at Peter and Husk, asking, "What? You thought I'd leave you?" Just then, Wade is shocked, and the electricity shoots through the water, shocking everyone. Fake Pool gets up, telling them, "No more games or jokes, and no more masks. It's time for Chameleon to show his true face." Later, as Spider-Man begins to slowly open up his eyes, he sees himself upside down, and he tells Wade, "This is all your fault." Wade asks, "How is it my fault? Chameleon's not a part of my rogues gallery. This is on you." And Husk then asks, "Can you both shut up and try to figure out a way to get out of this? Because those things down there don't look friendly." Wade looks down and sees 3 of Chameleon's monsters and says, "Oh, maybe it's time for us to leave." He then calls out that he's got this. He just needs to get his knife out of his pocket. And as Wade reaches for it, he doesn't feel anything, like anything at all. And then he asks if anyone's seen his right hand by any chance. Meanwhile, over at the secret vault, Chameleon slaps Wade's severed hand onto the hand reader, and the computer announces handprint identified, Avengers Override activated. Chameleon tosses the hand aside, stating, "That's better. Now let's check out all these weapons." Back at the pit, one of the monsters jumps trying to grab Wade, and he asks, "Who steals a hand? Like, who really would do that?" Peter tells him it's probably to open up whatever secret vault he came for, and Wade tells him, "How dare you assume we came here for Fake Pool?" Also at this time, Husk begins shedding her stone skin and climbs up out of the ropes, grabbing one of Wade's guns and begins to fire down on the monsters. Wade says, "Don't worry, I got this. See those 2 shark fins in the sky? Watch this." Seconds later, Bruce and Deborah fall out of the sky, chomping down on the monsters. And while Husk finishes untying the other 2, branches reach down, grabbing everyone, lifting them up to the ledge. Spider-Man then stares at Clay and asks, "What are you?" And Clay tells him, "A life model decoy of Clay Quartermain that was infected with a sentient organic virus," to which the branches say, "Hello." Peter then sees an apple hanging from one of the limbs, and he asks if they can eat that. Branch then says that those are the fruit of his bowels. And Wade, while currently eating one, mentions that they are delicious. Once everyone is ready, they head over to the vault, and the first thing that Wade sees is a giant missile, and he says that these look wonderful. And Peter tells him, "Don't even think about it." And Branch says he is thinking about it. And then Wade tells Branch, "That's not cool. Silence is golden." Screwball runs over to one of the computers and begins going through the files, and then mentions that according to this, Chameleon was looking for something called... But before she could finish, there's a loud boom as the desk gets destroyed, and Chameleon stands up through the smoke with a rather large gun. He tells Wade, "Thanks for the help. You're real handy." And Wade yells back, "Wow! I was pretty mad about the whole hand thing, but I gotta admit, that was a pretty solid wordplay." Chameleon then fires the gun at Hellcow, and Husk jumps in the way with her stone skin to block the attack. Just as Chameleon goes to fire again, Spider-Man shoots some webbing down on the barrel of the gun, causing it to explode when Chameleon pulls the trigger. Chameleon gets back up, hitting the button, telling him, "Okay, let's see how you handle some of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s robots." While Screwball handles the robots, Peter and Wade begin fighting Chameleon directly, punching and beating into him. Chameleon pulls out his gun, whipping it at Spider-Man, firing it, and as Spider-Man jumps, the shot hits a tank that Clay is standing next to. The chemicals from the tank begin to pour onto Clay, and he shouts that whatever is in there is making it so that he can't control Branch. The virus is losing control. The virus then begins to grow and spread, and as the vines grab onto everyone, Peter tells Wade, "You are the best, huh?" And Wade yells back, "I found him on Craigslist." Chameleon fires through the vines to escape, and while everyone else begins to get back up, Wade tells Spider-Man and Husk to go on ahead. He's gonna handle this. And Spider-Man and Husk run on ahead. Spider-Man calls back that they're going to find Chameleon. And Husk asks, "Do we really have to?" Up ahead, Chameleon jumps onto Husk's shield rocket car and begins to take off. But Spider-Man webs it up at the last second and pulls himself up. He then lands on the hood, telling Chameleon that was pretty rude of him for leaving without saying goodbye. Chameleon tells him, "Don't worry, we're going to see each other again. And when we do, I'm not just going to kill you. There's going to be something else more fun in mind." After pressing a button on the steering wheel, an electrical charge shoots out, hitting Spider-Man, causing him to lose balance and fall off. He falls back to the ground where Husk catches him with one of the bird creatures, and she asks, "Do we really have to go back for Deadpool?" And Spider-Man tells her, "Yeah." When they get back to the vault, they find it completely emptied out. Wade and his team are also not there. Just then, the lights are turned off, and Husk tells Spider-Man that she really hates him. Spider-Man tells her that he's been getting that a lot recently. Back up on the stolen shield helicarrier, the USS Pool, Wade laughs eating one of Branch's apples, stating, "Can't control Branch. Classic!" Deadpool then high-fives everyone, stating that they did their parts well. "Just look at our haul!" Screwball tells Wade that it seemed like Chameleon did get away with something. A file that contained something. Wade laughs out loud again, asking, "Paper? He stole paper? What an idiot. Rocks beat paper, and more importantly, WMDs beat paper. Come on, let's just go see who's going to buy these toys at the highest price. Daddy needs the new stuffed animals." However, over at Chameleon's secret hideout, he begins to pull out the file with the words, "Project Doppelganger" written on them. And he says, "Now, the real fun begins." In the snowy suburbs of the rolling hills, Deadpool walks with Clay down the street to their next target location. And Deadpool asks, "Is this the right place?" Clay tells him that they must maintain radio silence. There may be telepathic creatures in the area. Deadpool whispers that it just means that he can think even driftier thoughts. And by the way, this hologram disguise is super itchy. The two walk into a door and Deadpool looks back. He says that he doesn't want to alarm anyone. Are we being followed? As Deadpool and Clay look back, one of the kids following them says, "You can't hurt me anymore. You won't hurt anyone anymore." Deadpool then rings the doorbell to the house, stating, "Oh, they seem nice and creepy." And Clay tells him, maybe Kate was right. This might be a death trap. Whatever these things are, they're not on the Area 14 manifest. Hopefully they will be open for negotiations instead of outright murder. Just then the front door to the house opens and a couple inside yells, "Howdy, neighbors!" And as the man continues, his speech turns robotic and she begins to ask, "How may we be up?" The man falls over and the woman then says, "Please forgive my husband. He's one man too, Matt. Deadpool and Clay quickly walk inside and Deadpool slams the door shut and Clay says, "They look like LMDs, former SHIELD agents like myself." Deadpool then says, "If it's robots, I can handle robots." And Clay looks outside telling him, "Well, the things outside are now robots." Deadpool looks at the window and yells, "Oh, so many tentacles!" Clay then tells Deadpool, "You can head to the lower levels. Me and Branch will stay up here and make sure that nothing gets inside." As Deadpool hurries down, within seconds, he's already blasting his way through the robot guards watching over the facility. And just as he gets in, Spider-Man appears and calls out, "That's enough! It's time for you to go to jail! Can't believe you'd actually ditch me and tabula rasa." And Deadpool then asks him, "Are you sure about that? Because that would totally be a thing I would do." Spider-Man punches him, yelling, "You ditched me after you stole every weapon in the place." And Deadpool begins to fight back, telling him, "Technically not everything. Chameleon stole some paper. Like, come on, who stole paper?" As the two go back and forth, Deadpool knocks Spider-Man towards Vault 22. And Deadpool stops and says, "I remember someone saying something about Vault 22. He then thinks back to just before the operation. While Clay was going over the contents of each vault, Hellcow told Deadpool specifically not to go near Vault 22. Spider-Man begins to pick himself back up, asking, "What did you remember?" And just then, white and black tentacles break free from Vault 22, grabbing both Spider-Man and Deadpool. Deadpool then says, "Well, don't feel bad, Webs. We had a pretty good run. 27 issues is actually really good in the market, to be honest." The tentacles then lift the two of them up and slam them to the ground, knocking their heads through the floor and into the room below. As the two of them look around, the room starts arming itself with machine guns, rockets, flails, and Deadpool tells them, "I really don't want to jump to any conclusions here, but between those enslaved droids upstairs in this 50 Shades of Grey training room, I'm starting to think S.H.I.E.L.D. might actually be back." The tentacles then whip back up, and Deadpool yells, "And if that's the case, then it's good news, because that means I'm actually not stealing anything, I'm setting things free." Spider-Man tells him, "You're not being a hero here, you're still a criminal, and you're always going to be one. And apparently, that's how you're going to die." Deadpool stops to think about it and says, "You know what? You're right." He pulls out one of his katanas and he starts to carve through the tentacles, telling him, "I am a criminal, a murderer, a monster, but I thought I could be better. Maybe I could be a hero like the person I look up to, Spider-Man. However, I was wrong. down, except Spider-Man. For that, I'm sorry. Spider-Man gets up, throwing a chopped tentacle off Adam, and he says, "If you really mean that, then prove it. Turn yourself in. Walk away." Deadpool reaches into his pocket, pulling out a small device, and then he looks back at Spider-Man and he tells him, "I'm sorry." And as soon as Deadpool pushes the button, all of the vault doors light up, teleporting their contents along with Deadpool back to his helicarrier. A short while later, while everyone looks over the hall, Screwball says that this stuff is great. She's already got some buyers lined up. Where should they go next? But instead of answering, Deadpool hangs his head and he walks away. Back down in Area 14, Spider-Man looks at the empty Vault 22 and he says, "Now that the monster is out of the way, let's see what's behind the locked door." He heads into the back and he begins to push buttons on a control panel, and after entering a code, a small compartment opens up. He then reaches in, pulling out a small green device, and he leaves it. And back outside, Spider-Man walks up to the children that were guarding the house and tells them, "Thanks for letting me in." One of the children then says, "Hey, you kept your promise. You got rid of the bad things." Spider-Man then pulls off his mask, handing it to the child, and he walks off. But the man under the mask isn't Spider-Man. It's actually Chameleon. Elsewhere, Spider-Man, the real Spider-Man, tells Husk that he came over as soon as he could. What did she find out about Chameleon? And Husk says, well, it turns out Chameleon stole something called Project Doppelganger. The facility they're in now used to house thousands of robots, which were just stolen by Chameleon. And Husk says, actually, yes, the robots may be stolen, but they can't be powered up unless the user has this. And Husk opens up her file, and it's a picture of the same device that Chameleon just stole from Area 14. Later that night at Mockingbird's apartment, Spider-Man slurps his slushie, and Mockingbird and Husk stare, asking, how did he get away again? Spider-Man says that he already told them, Chameleon, but Husk stops him, stating, no, Deadpool, how did he get away? And Spider-Man just sits there and takes another sip of his slushie. Then he yells, fine! Well, it all started off like any other day. Typical hero stuff, saving a school bus full of kids and them telling me how cool I was. Husk asks him, did that really happen? And Mockingbird says, of course not. Now get back to the actual story. But it was like Spider-Man said, he was out on patrol when he spotted Kraven terrorizing people on the streets. As they fight,
Oh,
Spider-Man and
a few more bits. Just gonna take a quick recording.
Deadpool and Chameleon burst out of it right beneath him, both fighting over another shield facility. Spider-Man looks over, stating, "Oh look, Chameleon."
And
Deadpool and his gang
then
are
check
like,
comments
"Buddies."
one more time,
Deadpool
because
yells,
I
"Shut
need
up."
to take a quick
Before the band
Jimmy
begins,
pedal
Chameleon using
before I continue anymore. But thank you for all those comments so far. Leave them coming in, because I'll come and check them in a second. But I'm going to have a
Spider-Man then
quick
asks,
slurp
"What
of
are
my
you
tea.
boys talking about?" And Deadpool tells him, "Look, come out when I
And I'll
say
put
go."
in the last
He
panel
really meant
of
it.
today's
Then
story.
Spider-Man shouts, "Seriously? What are you talking about?"
And hopefully you are enjoying
Back in
the
town,
comic
we
story
were
in the background.
Husk and me were stuck there for 36 hours. We had to eat bugs. Bugs, Deadpool. Chameleon then says, I must admit, it was an amazing performance, but now there are places to go and see. He then turns and shoots into a building, causing the debris to chip off and fall straight towards a group of civilians. Spider-Man quickly jumps up, creating a web net to catch the falling rocks, and then he looks over at Deadpool, telling him, so the last time that we saw each other, it would appear that you got played. So what was it that you apparently told Chameleon, who looked like me, that was so important? Deadpool sighs and tells him the truth. And then he leaves with his group with the stolen weapons. Back in the current time, Mockingbird asks, why didn't you go after Deadpool? And Spider-Man says, you know, the building. People in danger, that was a thing. And Mockingbird sighs, stating that Deadpool and his crew stole everything. Those weapons are already on the black market. There's too much at stake now. We need backup. The next time that you come across Deadpool, and Spider-Man tells her, I know, it goes down for good. Meanwhile, over at the SS Deadpool, everyone stares at Deadpool. And Deadpool asks, what? I already told you, Chameleon. And Amphibian says, no, not Chameleon. Spider-Man. How did he find us again? Clay asks Branch if he's able to read Deadpool's mind. And Branch says that he can't at the moment. Deadpool's mind is closed off. But there is something off about him. Hell Cow calls out, none of us are going to jail. We work for Deadpool.
Alexa,
We're his greatest assassin.
how long's left on my timer?
There are no timers set.
Oh, so we've already gone past 50 minutes. That's expected. We've got this little patch here, but all I'm going to be doing is showing shoes of some but concrete shoes. So we'll see how that'll work out. Just a pair of boots, I suppose. Cloth over the top, and we should be done.
Keep him posted on where Deadpool is heading next. As he hangs up, he and Kraven walk over to a room full of life model decoys, all copies of superheroes, and says that these are the perfect imitation. This is the true value of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s Project Doppelganger. Even a fake Kraven will fetch a hefty bounty. Just imagine how much people would have paid for these. The next next day, people wait in line at the bank when they start to see a shadow looming over them. People move out of the way, and the teller asks, "How can she help?" But Hulk shouts, "Hulk, withdraw!" And then he kicks open the vault. Hulk, along with several other hero LNDs, are displayed on a screen, and Chameleon tells the people that he is broadcasting to their looks and how they sound like the real thing. The most important part is that they have the power's near equivalent to the heroes themselves. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and it's going to be expensive. Back over at the bank, Spider-Man swings down as Hulk walks out carrying a sack full of cash. And he says, "Don't take this the wrong way, but aren't you supposed to be dead?" Hulk then swings at Spider-Man, and Spider-Man radios over to Mockingbird asking if she's busy. She tells him, yeah, she is. The life model decoys are over here as well, and he's gonna have to manage by himself for a bit. Spider-Man steps back and tells the Hulk, "Word on the street is that you're not the real Hulk." Hulk then holds out his hand and says, "Hulk," and Hulk smashes. He claps his hands together, sending a shockwave into Spider-Man that sends him crashing into the wall. He then charges in after him, and as he pulls his arm back, a webbing hits it, throwing him off balance. And Spider-Man asks, "How did I even do that?" And the voice tells him that he didn't. Silk jumps in, kicking the Hulk, finishing off stating, "It was me." Spider-Man gets up asking, "What is she doing here?" And Silk says that she's here to clean up the mess by her former employer's absence. This is starting to look a lot more like a Spider-Man mess than a S.H.I.E.L.D. mess, to be honest. Spider-Man yells that this is a Chameleon mess, and Silk says that Mockingbird said that it was a Deadpool mess. And Hulk shouts, "No more talking!" And Spider-Man tells him that's a good idea, as both Spider-Man and Silk begin to web him down. Silk radios over to Mockingbird asking how she's doing, and Mockingbird tells her that she's fine, even though she's not really. And Husk will give them directions on where to go. Husk then says that she hopes that they like road trips, because the signal is bouncing all over town. But as Spider-Man and Silk follow the trail to the other side of town, Deadpool and his gang are also following the same signal. As Spider-Man lands on a rooftop, he asks what they're doing here, and Deadpool yells, "Spider-Man?" Clay whispers to Deadpool that this would be a good time to do that thing that he promised that he would do, and Deadpool tells him, "Don't ruin the mood with murder." Spider-Man yells, "Wait, what?" And Deadpool says, "Before we get our fisticuffs, we need to talk about something real quick." Deadpool leans over to Silk and takes her hand and says, "You know, we've never met before. You're Silk, right? Didn't your book get canceled?" And then she punches him, stating, "Cancel this!" And Deadpool says, "Don't blame me, I bought every single issue. Hashtag Silk Squad for life." As the Sharks, Deborah and Bruce, lunge at Spider-Man, Spider-Man tells Deadpool that he's got sharks and didn't attach lasers to them. Missed opportunity there, buddy. Deadpool asks, "Really? Guess we need to show you the light show." Deborah and Bruce then pull out laser guns and begin to fire at Spider-Man, and Deborah says that she can't believe that they are missing the golden age of television for this trash. As Spider-Man jumps away, Bruce continues his lunge, biting down onto Deadpool. And then Deadpool yells, "Sons of biscuits and gravy! I know I'm delicious, but everyone really needs to stop fighting me." Bruce then continues to carry Deadpool to Spider-Man, and as Deadpool gets ready for a quip, Spider-Man punches him out of Bruce's mouth. Back with Mockingbird, the LMDs are beginning to close in on her when suddenly all of them begin to bam out. Mockingbird begins to yell, "What's going on?" and Husk tells her that the signal just disappeared. Over on the roof, Deadpool starts to get up, and he says, "Okay, we both want the same thing." Spider-Man tells him, "If it's you arrested, then yes, no more games. Plus, I'd rather not get murdered today." There's a play that asks, "That was the plan, right?" Deadpool says, "Yeah, it was, but first things first. We beat the ever-living crap out of Chameleon." He pulls out his rocket launcher and he fires a hole into the roof. And once everyone gets down, Deadpool looks around and asks, "Is it just me, or is Chameleon's penthouse suspiciously empty?" Meanwhile, at another hideout, Chameleon's Nightcrawler bamps in the last of the LMDs, laughing, stating that he might just keep this Nightcrawler to himself. But it's like, I'm forgetting something. Oh yes. He pushes down on the detonator in his hand, causing the penthouse, where everyone is at right now, to explode. In the far future, an old man awakes from a bad dream and begins to wonder what has his life become. He's an old man bound to a wheelchair who takes pictures of fallen leaves. As he turns on his light, he smiles, remembering the good old days. The days when he used to be Spider-Man. As time comes, Peter gets dressed and he heads out into the retirement home cafe. However, as he pushes himself along, he starts to overhear some of the other tenants talking about how things of theirs seem to be missing. First a necklace, then a pair of glasses. All gone, without a trace. Peter grabs his food and he takes a seat at one of the tables, and he begins doing what he does best, taking pictures. Everything in this retirement home is good, except one thing. It's also the home of the old and the promiscuous Wade Wilson. Wade puts his foot up on Peter's table, telling him, "You know, these pills the doctor's got me make me feel like an N64 all over again." Peter sighs, stating he really doesn't want to hear it. And Wade says, "Fine, fine. I didn't come over here to talk about my letter to Penthouse anyway. I came about this." Wade holds up a tablet with a news article, and Peter asks, even real? Just let the Avengers deal with it or something. Wade slams the tablet down, yelling, "They're all dead! And you know it. This is our chance! I've been tracking him for years! This is fate! He cut you in half, remember?" Peter looks at his camera, stating that he's retired now. Let the kids handle this. It's not their time anymore. And Wade scratches his head, telling him, "Fine, how about this? How about we look into the missing items? Last night, I saw someone sneaking around the home in a ski mask." Peter asks, "What are you even talking about?" And Wade walks off, telling him, "You really are in your own little world. Probably nothing anyway. See you at bingo, kid." Later that night, Peter heads to his room and he gets ready for bed. As he lays down, he takes off his shirt, revealing the giant scar across his back. The days begin to pass and everything seems normal for Peter. But one of the nights that he was developing his film, he spots something. The burglar Wade mentioned. So he rolls up to his window with his camera. And sure enough, he spots the same burglar creeping out of one of the windows. Peter looks back at all the news clippings of him as Spider-Man.
There we go. I think that's what we got. We got that will do me for a pair of shoes or boots in this case, concrete shoes. Because the egg is cracked and then it's giving out a fluid and it's gunked it up and giving him a pair of sort of concrete shoes. Hopefully that you like the pair of shoes and you want to give me a thumbs up if you are enjoying today's stream. I've got only a bit of shading to do and maybe thickening a few lines here and there. But other than that, I'm quite happy with today's picture. And hopefully I might be able to get some colouring done tonight as well. But I don't know until the stream is ended. Because that is the aim of me doing the live streams, is to show you before the show you what it looks like before I've actually put any ink colouring to it, because you get to see raw and how you want to draw it yourself. Again, are you guys out there joining in the Inktober challenge? I'd love to see your stuff. You can check all of the previous content over on TikTok. And if you want to send me yours, then the best way is the same place. Just send me a link to what you've made, or if you're not a TikToker, or if you don't want to do anything like that kind of thing, then feel free again over to check me out over on Instagram. It's more of a picture thing, less of a video.
But before we can continue this story, let's flash back to a time to learn why Wade is so focused on killing himself. Yeah, let's go with that. It was just after a fight when Peter had been slashed in the back by what he thought was Wade. Wade told him to hang on so that he could get help, and Peter said it's okay. He knows it wasn't the real him. Wade says that someone must have cloned him, and when he finds out who, Peter told him it's okay. Let him say one last joke thought. Wade begins to pull the mask off of Peter, and Peter asks, "What's a superhero's favorite part of a joke?" The punchline. As much as Wade holds back, he can't help but let out a chuckle. And soon both him and Peter are laughing. And as they do, Peter's laugh fades, and Wade is left knowing that his one and only true friend has died. Now back to our originally scheduled story. Wade wakes up on the rooftop screaming at a dream that he had about Peter's death, and he begins to hear Peter waking up next to him. Before Peter wakes up, though, Wade takes out the needle that was connecting the two of them together. And he tells Peter to just get some rest, he's going to need it. A few moments later, Peter wakes up and asks, what did he miss? And Wade finishes cooking breakfast, telling him, nothing. No sign of jerk faux poo. How was your sleep? Peter rubs his arm, telling him that his arm feels kind of funny, like something bit him. The two begin to eat breakfast, with Wade stating, well, I didn't bite you. No matter how many times you ask, I ain't crossing that line. As Peter eats, he asks, why would his clone come after them after all this time anyway? Why now? Wade tells him, I'm not sure. I'm just grateful at my chance for revenge. Once breakfast is over, the two heroes go to search for Faux Pool, and as the night comes, Wade looks into the sky and says that he thinks that he found them. But he can't believe that he's still using the old SHIELD helicarrier that he totally did not steal. Just then, a large container shoots down onto the ground, and Faux Pool steps out stating, hey there, Golden Girls, visiting your future final resting place? Wade grabs his katanas and he lunges at Faux Pool, yelling, how dare you take the Golden Girls' names in vain for B. Arthur! As Wade gets close, Faux Pool knocks Wade away, telling him that he looks suspiciously old these days. Isn't that weird? You have a healing factor, and now you look like a rotting potato. Peter jumps in, hitting Faux Pool with his wheelchair, stating that he's going to be looking so much worse. You carbon copy. And Faux Pool asks, copy? Is Wade still starting to see why people find me annoying. Fool then asks if Wade made him. Does that make Wade his dad or God? And Peter asks him, made him? Fool jumps through, separating the two of them, and as Fool slams Wade's head into the wall, he says, yeah, Wade brought me to life the moment that he touched the console back at Tabula Rasa. Wade punches Fool off, and Peter webs up his head, and Fool asks, he didn't want his bestie to know the truth, huh? Peter then flings Fool to the ground, asking, what is he talking about? And Fool tells him, I'm talking about the fact that Wade here knew what I really was the whole time, and that he's responsible for me even being a thing. He's been trying to kill me before you could ever discover the truth. Fool kicks Peter back, continuing to state that Wade knew that he would come out of hiding the second that he turned that device on that's been tucked away. Fool then brings out his sword, and Wade jumps in, stabbing him in the back, and then he punches him off, asking, do you really think you could stop me, old fart? Fool then jumps on Wade, and Wade yells to Peter to take the device out of the bag. Peter reaches in, pulling out a small green device, and then Fool asks, did you really think that I was sitting around waiting? I was building. Peter flips the switch on the device, and it stabs into Fool, and suddenly Fool begins to become electrified. As the electricity burns him, it begins to show that Fool is in fact a robot. And Peter says, wait, he was a robot? And Wade tells him the politically correct term would be life model decoy. It's the things that Chameleon unleashed all those years ago, and he's right. This is all my fault. Before Wade could go on, though, Fool begins to laugh, telling him, I've been looking for that device for decades. Who would have thought that you would have just brought it to me? You may have thought that the device was my kill switch, but it's actually my on switch. And just as he says that, a swarm of fake life model decoy Deadpools jump out of a helicarrier, descending upon them. As soon as all of these Fools land, Peter and Wade begin to escape, and Wade begins to shout, I know a place that we can go. And as soon as they turn outside of an alley, another group appears, and Peter says that he has an idea. He webs up one of Wade's katanas, and he swings it, cutting through a large group of the fake Deadpools. While Peter does his thing, Wade says, you know, I'm filled with mixed emotions right now. On one hand, I've always wanted to see Spider-Man go on a murderous rampage. That's what most of my fanfics are about, to be honest. But on the other hand, you're slicing and dicing copies of me, which is actually some other fanfic I was writing. Peter tells him that he's supposed to be helping, and Wade tells him, right, follow me, Spider-Murder-Man. After a bit of running, Peter looks around and he asks, why are we in Central Park? This isn't helpful at all. And Wade says, come on, where is it? Oh, this giant rock. And Wade begins to knock on the rock with Peter frowning, telling him, we're about to die here, and I hate to blame you for this. But ignoring Peter's statement, Wade asks, little help, big guy? And suddenly the rock begins to rumble before lifting itself off of the ground. The giant rock creature begins to stand up, and Peter asks, is that Ben Grimm? Wade tells him, no, it's Ben's son, Reed. The details don't matter right now, but we got other things to worry about. Reed begins to lift his arm, and Peter then asks, does he want a high five or something? And Wade says, wait for it. Reed then slams his arm onto the ground, shouting, it's clobbering time. And just then, the rest of the new Fantastic Four appear. The old female in the blue Valeria asks, you rang? Oh, life model decoy Deadpool's perfect. Wade jumps down, and another one in the group, Venom Vision, shouts 100010011000. Wade then says, that's a weird catchphrase, and Valeria tells Wade that he asked him a question he might want to answer before they leave him to himself. Peter then jumps down, helping the fourth member, the Last Devil, and asks, who are you supposed to be? And the Last Devil doesn't answer him, and Peter says, all right, just like Daredevil, good talk. Fofu then knocks the Last Devil away, singing, Spider-Man, Spider-Man does whatever Deadpool's mutant blood allows him to do. Not as catchy. Peter then webs his mouth, telling him, no more singing. And Fofu rips it off, telling him, the next song is about how I cut Spider-Man in two when he died. Peter then grabs Fofu and headbutts him, telling him, no! The Fantastic Four stitched me up. And Fofu stumbles back, telling him, except they didn't! Wade Wilson brought you back to life using his muty blood. Been haunting him for years. That's why he was gunning for revenge. See how gullible you can be when it comes to your best friend? Fofu then kicks, and Peter catches it, telling him, you're insane. And Fofu tells him, I am Wade Wilson, so duh. Peter then webs up the other Fofus, swinging them into the original. But as the original gets back up, he grabs his katana, jumping behind Peter. Fofu then says, all right, it's time to end this. And he slashes through, cutting him in the back again. Wade hears this scream, and like a madman, he begins to carve his way over to Peter. Fofu tells him that Spider-Man goes down again. And once again, it's all your fault, Wade. Valeria then picks Peter up, telling everyone that they need to retreat. Reed? Everyone begins to climb up onto Reed's hand, and as Wade tries to attack Fofu says, that's the spirit, don't listen to her. Can't change destiny. Reed shouts in pain as Valeria calls out to him, and a group of Fofools begin to stab into him to climb up him. Wade grabs onto the Fofools climbing up to help himself up, and Reed tells him to just get in his hand. Reed then pulls his arm back, and he throws Wade and the others out of the park, and he asks, I wonder what robots taste like. As the group crashes into the Baxter building, a medical foot promt rushes over to Peter and begins to scan him. Wade rushes over and Peter asks, "Why did you do it?" And as Wade takes off his mask, he says, "Because I couldn't lose my best friend." Peter tells him, "Okay, I forgive you. That's what best friends do. Now be a friend and a best friend. And forgive yourself." As Peter slowly begins to stop breathing, Wade shouts, "No! Not like this! Someone take my blood! All of it! Bring them back!" Valeria asks, "What are we supposed to do now? There's billions of LMDs. How are we going to shut them all down?" And Wade pulls on his mask, stating, "You can't! Not now! Now!" Wait. He runs off into the old storage room, stating, "It's all my fault. I can fix this. I can change things." He pulls on a tarp, and Valeria tells him, "Wait, you can't use Doom's time platform. It doesn't work properly. It's cursed." And Wade starts turning the machine on, telling him, "Yeah, so am I." Meanwhile, in the present day, Spider-Man and Wade Wilson are back to back, surrounded by a group of LMDs, with Spider-Man telling him, "We had a good run." And Wade tells him, "Yeah, 31 issues. I was kind of hoping we get to 50, but hey, 31's a really good number in this market." Wait, did we suddenly jump an issue? Just before the LMDs converge, there's a bright light, and Old Man Wade steps out shouting, "I'm back!" And young Peter asks, "What the?" And Old Man Wade tells him, "You're out of pages, Webs. Cue the to be continued." As Master Matrix jumps into the air, saving Spider-Man from being hit by Mysterio, he excitedly yells, "I will save my two fathers." Spider-Man kicks Doc Ock's LMD, stating, "We are not your dads." And Deadpool tells Matrix, "Don't listen to Spider-Daddy, kiddo." As Deadpool shoots another LMD, he stops and says, "Actually, we're a family now. And family doesn't keep secrets from each other, which means that I can share with you Web's real name." Matrix punches Vulture, stating, "No, Spider-Man requested his identity remain a secret." Deadpool groans, "No fair! Fine! Don't tell Spider-Man about the Sasquatch-inspired costume that I found at his place. And definitely do not tell him about the fan art that's been made. Especially the ones set in medieval times. Those are for Patreon followers only." Spider-Man, who can clearly hear Deadpool, says, "Okay, I'm shutting this down quick. We can't risk raising a killer robot that our future selves had to come back and..."
There we are. Oh yes, I am going to pause that there and say I'm done at 11 o'clock. Hopefully you can see what I've drawn there. Again, we've got Blue Angel standing over there, watching from previous scene. Excuse me. Thus, going to go down to the Dogan. Morning. No. Blue Angle is getting ready to throw down his chain, which was unraveling there from the staff from previous picture, and the polymer clay. If you haven't checked that one out, go into the Creation Station playlist. But he then we just got Duskimmer, who's fallen down, and the parachute is almost, or as I say, is fallen onto top of him, while Blue Angle has fallen down. So say thrown out the egg, as you can see there, and given him a pair of shoes, as that is the prompt today, but in a pair in like a concrete and a sticky, so it's keeping him to the floor, like he can't move. So yeah, let's find out what tomorrow's illustration is going to be, because I'm now caught up all the way, so I can colour this one in. If you want to see any of those videos, then don't forget to tune in and hit that bell button to see what goes next. Otherwise, guys, I am shattered and I don't want to be live anymore. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.